Right, so I have a very annoying problem that was working just now. How to create an automation clip within your FL Studio. So here's this chord that I have. It's playing right over here. So this is the pad that I'm listening to. Now I want a way where I could be modulating the parameters for this plugin. So what's going to happen if I'm going to do this manually would sound something like this. Now, obviously, you wouldn't want to be doing this manually. Chances are that you want to be drawing this thing within your automation clip so that it can be played. It could play according to what you want. And the way that you automate this thing would be you're going to right click the button over here, X or Y, and create an automation clip. It could be any knob you want. So even this knob could be you could create the automation clip for this one as well. But for simplicity's sake, we are going to do this for the X parameter, and now that we have this thing, we can actually automate this thing. The trick to automate this thing would be to use your shift and control key while you're clicking. So if you want to create a new point, you right click one of it, but you notice if you right click it without clicking any of those keys, it becomes very messy. So what you can do is that if you click shift, then you will always stay within this line. Like I could right click below, above, and it still snaps to this line. And if I click control, I can only move it up and down on the y-axis. I cannot try to go it over there. But if I do not click control and I were to click somewhere around there, I could pull this anywhere that I want. And this would make it very messy to work with. So the simple way would be to be doing an automation clip, something like this, and then maybe change the curves a little bit. And what you'll notice is that, well, this one is really big, right? So you might actually have to zoom in to start doing something that changes this thing, obviously. Now, I'm going to create a few more points and click it around just to show you an example. Now, if I were to play this one again, you will notice that this thing will respond to this curve. Okay, however, this one is also a little bit manual in the sense that you would have to draw this every single time you want to do something. But what if you have an automation clip that is very predictable? You want it to move it in a very predictable way. Well, you can have an option, which is to use the LFO feature. So the LFO feature would be something like this. It will keep moving this thing, and you can slow it down or speed it up by changing this parameter. You can also change the amount. So this amount will change the curve over here as well. And now it will change the behavior of the LFO, right? So we're going to reset all of this thing back again. One thing that's very important to note is that when you have an LFO over here and you see the curve is moving in this direction, so you can notice that this thing will move around according to this. However, it does not exactly match this thing. And why is that happening? Is because you actually have another curve behind here, right? So when you have a curve behind here, the LFO stacks on top of the original curve over here. So if you're using the LFO feature, I would strongly recommend that you do not have any curves around, right? You just let LFO do its own thing so that there's no confusion. So in this case, if I'm using LFO, I would recommend that you will delete this automation clip and redo it all over again. Also, another important thing to note is that LFO also kind of responds to your initial setup. So if you were to initialize it from X over here and click automation clip here, and if you turn on your LFO, now you will see that this thing will start responding from there. And the reason is because you have this thing that starts at a very low scale, and you don't want to do that. So chances are that you want to be deleting this thing, or you want to set it back to 50%. And if you turn on LFO, now it will work correctly. And what if you want to do this for both X and Y together? And the way you can do this is you can click on this thing and tweak, let's say Y. And now you have Y and X moving together. And of course, you have to remember to click away this one once you're done with your links. Otherwise, it will start messing around a lot of things. So what do I mean by that? We're going to delete this link and this link. automation clip does not do anything. So you'll notice this one doesn't move at all. And if I click target link, I'm going to target, let's say, X and Y, and I can start playing, right? But this thing is still turning on, which means that if I ever do anything else, let's say I'm going to adjust the max volume around here and doing the minimum over here, and then I'm going to replay this thing, what's going to happen is that suddenly this whole thing gets confused, right? Because you touched the other knobs that you're not supposed to touch. So you should always remember to click this, turn this thing off as soon as you're done with choosing your knobs that you want to automate. I guess that's it for the video. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe.